Broadcasting live from the 45 caliber lead ravaged bayous of Louisiana. It's me, your friend, Maximilian. I've got a very special episode for you today. Unasked for, but today is a very special day. And not just because it's April Fool's, but because of what that day means for me and members of my family. I had a man in my life and a woman, we will get back to her, that really at some point, probably during some of my most troubled times, took me aside and really just kind of showed me a lot of things in the world from a different point of view. And whether his view was right or wrong, it uh, uh, always taught me lessons. And today I want to really share a lot of that with the public and who he was because his history is largely forgotten, lost media, if you will, and bringing him back out into the world is something I think he would have absolutely enjoyed and tried to figure out a way to possibly profit from it. So, the man we're going to talk about today is my grandfather, Samuel Frederick Toole. And that's Toole, not fool, even though it is April 1st. And I appreciate anybody joining today and anybody viewing this, sharing my grandfather with the people of the world is it's a little intimidating. But I'm going to face it with the bravado and testicular fortitude that my grandfather would have uh, approached it and share a very interesting soul. And today would have been him and my grandmother, Doris Toole's 74th wedding anniversary. And put a pin in that because we're going to circle back around to that at the end of this tale. And I promise I won't keep you long. I've got a lot of pictures to show and, just fun times. But some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today and showing you, I needed to get past that 3-minute mark. So, um, a lot of these videos that I do on this channel, uh, I do for a selfish reason because I know that, like my grandfather, one day that high noon will come for me. And I want to make sure that I could share a little bit of knowledge and who I was and with my daughter, uh, my friends, my family. And so they always got something to look back on and say, yeah, I remember that cat. So today I want to reintroduce, that is, to the world, my grandfather, Sam Toole, champion gunslinger. This was paperwork that he put out before each one of his shows. My grandfather was a champion gunslinger, TV star, and just a real traffic builder. See incredible speeds with single action pistols, fast handheld firing with unparalleled accuracy, real homespun American youth in real action. Crowds held spellbound during the exhibition. This was my grandfather, ladies and gentlemen. And this in front of me right now is his scrapbook, which when I was a kid, I'm sure one of my many days stuck not going to school because I was either sick or faking it really well. And he broke this out, and we sat down, and he just kind of shared a lot of his experiences with me. We also traveled around to gun shows. My grandfather is in his retirement, sold gun parts and did gun shows, was known as Sam the Parts Man. And it doesn't matter what firearm you had in your possession, if you needed a part for it, he had at one point, I believe, 3.5 tons of gun parts. And at least that's how much we used to pack into the back end of a Dodge van extended cab and travel around to gun shows. And he usually had me in the passenger seat with him. And we'd travel around to Denver and all throughout Oklahoma and Kansas and Texas. And we'd buy out gun shops and visit with other, old timer gun people. And he always had a story to tell. And whether that story was hyperbole or fact, well, I'll leave that to history. But to quote the man who shot Liberty Valance, when the legend is greater than the truth, print the legend. So I present you today the man, the myth, the legend, Samuel Frederick Toole, as well as the woman who kind of lassoed him, my grandmother, Doris Toole. Now, this is an early picture of my grandfather, and this is in Montgomery, Alabama. And there, I believe he has his original Colt 45s that he could draw, cock, and fire in 1/100th of a second. His favorite game to play with me as a kid was hold your hands together about a foot apart, right about your gut level, and clap. And before I could clap, he'd stick his finger so far in my gut, I thought I'd thought I'd puke. And he this is him towards the end of his life. And of course, always holding some pistols. You could always count on him to be holding some pistols. Now we're going to go through. There is now he would do used to be back in the day before a movie'd come on, you would have stage magicians come up on the stage or you'd have some kind of show to keep the audience entertained before the movie started. And Grandpa used to tour around and do a lot of these little fast draw events. Now, he had two presentation sequential serial number Colt 45 Peacemakers. And you can see one of them right there. That is his original set and his original leather. And he would go up and do all kinds of little shows. We're going to come back to that one. That's he was also on Gunsmoke at one point and saved Matt Dillon from Three Bad Guys. He had a television show, which I have for years been trying to track down, that was filmed in Magic Mountain. And that would be out in Denver, Colorado. And it was called 11 Rifles. Now, I've tried whether he did, he had told me at one point he had done multiple episodes. It was obviously either canceled early or never aired, or he had just done what they call it's kind of a presentation piece. It's got a name for it, and I can't remember. But anyway, Mr. Sam Toole, it is a very genuine pleasure to work with you during the first International Gunslingers Contest at Magic Mountain. Truthfully sorry that you had such tough luck, but I think it speaks highly of you that you took this bad luck so gallantly. He did not take it gallantly. He may have presented himself that way that day, but I promise he talks shit about this show for the rest of his damn life. I feel sure that in the future there will be no other occasions that we will be able to. Oh, excuse me. I feel sure in the future there will be other occasions that we'll be able to work together to our mutual advantage. Please express my regards to your manager, Mr. George Bakewell. And I believe that is a photo of him and George. This is probably one of the earliest photos. I have one that's earlier, but I only have a negative. But that is him with his original presentation Colts. And Colt used to present him with a sequential serial numbered box set of Colt 45 Peacemakers every year. And I think we have in the family one set left. Now, this was the show and his shooting numbers. Now, at the time, they used to have a little stand with a button next to you when you slapped leather. So you would hit that button, grab your gun, draw, cock, and fire. It's not like they do today where they just barely pull that out of the holster and you get this. This was real full-on firing. And he did, in fact, have bad luck, and there's a story behind that. But probably not going to get too much into that today because it is a whole lot of shit talking. So this photo is one of the presentation photos. We got a lot in here. We go all the way back. This wasn't my grandfather. This is actually a man who was an incredible friend of my grandfather's, an incredible Native American painter named Louis Shipshey. And him and my grandfather were fairly inseparable. And he was an incredible painter. He painted chiefs. Well, to read the article, many of his paintings are portraits of famous and semi-famous early West figures. I've done all the chiefs: Sitting Bull, Geronimo, Black Kettle, Cack. And in addition, he's done many portraits of other memorable personages such as Custer, Buffalo Bill, Will Rogers, and others who have figured into the romance of Western history. And we have, as a family, have a number of his paintings, and he just apparently thought my mother was just the bee's knees. And yeah, Grandpa also used to make it out to Reno every now and then. There are probably a few Playboy Playmates in this book here. I'm not going through any of this in any particular order. I'm going to go through. If I see a memory that I can expand on, I'm going to go from there. A lot of grandfather's gun shows were done in Englewood, out in Denver, Colorado. And meet Sam Toole, champion gunslinger, who will exhibit his incredible speed and accuracy with his pistols. Fun, excitement, and a real treat for children and adults. And he'd do Englewood Value Days quite often, and on my birthday, in fact. And this was a few of the other clippings. Sam Toole, who can whip his guns from the holster and shoot you in the eye of .25 of a second, will display his skills Saturday, April 19th. And there's an ant on me. This was his gun shop in Denver, Colorado, over on Colfax Avenue. Duel west of Denver, set to pick fast gun. Two gunslingers meet today west of Denver to settle the title of world's fastest gun in a showdown duel of electronic gallantry. Kilo Henderson of the television show 26 Men has no quarrel with Sam Toole, a Colorado representative of the Los Angeles Gun Company. The two men were coaxed into the duel by a couple of Denver Post columnists, Tom Watt and Robert Fenwick. They arranged for Henderson to come to the Mile High City to meet Toole and determine the world's title in good old Western style. So at high noon today, the two men face each other to draw their firearms. Henderson is confident, he said, after I beat Toole, I'll go anywhere and face anyone. Toole also exuded assurance. People think I'm fat and slow, and that's my secret. I blast them before they have any idea what's going on. And I'll be the sort of bloodless, it'll be sort of a bloodless affair. The drawing times of the two opponents will be checked by an electronic mechanism. Toole has been timed at 13/100th of a second. just behind the claimed 12th 100th of Henderson. And according to my grandfather, there was a lot of conjecture with that. Chat, we are discussing my grandfather, and today is a special day in his memory, and we're going to go over his scrapbook. That is now, I believe that this is a photo from a TV series Grandpa was on called 11 Rifles. And that would be my grandfather. And I'm not sure who this other one is, but I do know that this was filmed on Magic Mountain in Denver, Colorado. Now, here's a picture of Grandpa on stage, and you can see right here that he's holding a silver dollar. So he'd bring a silver dollar up to about chest height and drop it. And before it would get down, he'd draw his barrel and bounce the end of that silver dollar off the end of it. Here's a few promotional shots back, when you could just hand a kid a firearm and say, hey, let's see what happens. This was a friend of his, and I can't quite remember his name, but they did, apparently he said something that pissed off Grandpa, but you can see a little bit of his drawing right there. And before he could pull that pistol, Grandpa was already up. And here is Sam Toole calls himself the fastest gun in the world, demonstrating with speed in the picture above. And you could see somebody at head height dropping a silver dollar. And Grandpa and he grew up, and he was born in Wetumpka, Alabama. And that was known to many as Slap Out. Fast gun Sam Toole visits home, displays prowess with a 6-shooter. The best speed yet for his fast draw has been clocked at 0.09 of a second. Sam Toole says the secret to his fast draw ability rests in the fact that most people underestimate him. I came from the South, he says, and most people think Southerners are slow. He says his short, sturdy build also helps him. As he presents his time, he weighs 200 pounds. His 2 prize shooting irons were presented to him by the Colt Manufacturing Company and are perfectly matched. Their .45 caliber and a live round of ammunition has never been fired in either. They are valued at around $400. Obviously, that is not today's value. Toole says he won the official title of world champion quick draw artist last year at a sports show in Denver. He says he fast draw the mountains today is the result of much practice and just the desire to do so. His career started at the age of 7 when he worked at a shooting gallery here, and that would be in Wetumpka. If I say I can outdraw a man, I prove it. I guess that's the success to it all, Toole says. And let me tell you, that is not hubris on the part of my grandfather. That was the way he was right up until the last minute. Sam Toole, considered the fastest gun alive, unlimbered his hog legs by drawing the two Colt 45s from the holstered in record-breaking time. A resident of Elmore County, Toole has appeared in some motion pictures as well as television shows and radio programs. Grew up near Wetumpka, and again, that would be Slap Out. And they called it Slap Out because it's slap out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I want you to know, every swear I ever learned in this world, I learned from him. And I've yet to have somebody give me a swear that beat him. So there's no need to improve when Grandpa taught you right the first time. And I'm going to tell you, the only time that man didn't swear is when Grandma was around. We're going to get to that story. That comes at the end. So stay with us, folks. We got a hell of a show for you today. What do we got next? Now, this was a front view of his gun shop on Colfax Avenue in Denver, Colorado. And there's another picture in this book. And you pay attention to this little piece right here, because he had this shotgun. And I don't know how he got it made, but he had wheels on it. He used to pull it behind a truck in parades. So it was now this would be at the this was the Henderson. That would be Kilo Henderson, and that's my grandfather, Sam Toole. And if you notice right here, there's a little box. And again, they had to slap this button and then draw. So you had to slap and pull. And you see how fast that was? See that hand? That is the not the only thing. Swearing's not the only thing I got from Grandpa. So you would slap and draw. And you had to cock, pull, and fire that Colt 45. And I don't know how many of y'all out there in the world will ever get the opportunity to draw, cock, and fire a Colt 45 Peacemaker, fully loaded, even with blanks. But that is a heavy hog leg. And I'm going to tell you, I know a couple of his secrets for how he used to prepare his holster. But even a prepared holster, it's not that easy to draw. And again, it ain't like they do today where they just pull that a little bit out the holster and do that little side twist thing. No, I shouldn't do that. This would have been some of the presentation back in Inglewood Value days where he'd do his demonstrations. And of course, just, shit you absolutely cannot do today. This would be grandfather at one of the many, many gun shows. There was a time where if you ran a gun show anywhere in the Midwest and my grandfather wasn't there, well, let's just say either attendants or vendors didn't always make it out. There was, again, as I'd read at the beginning in the letter, Grandpa had a lot of bad luck with the Henderson thing. There was some talk, and I'm gonna keep that talk to myself because I don't want to. It is a little one-sided, and Kilo Henderson is not around to defend his title any longer. So this was one of the newspaper articles that Grandpa got in, and it was, again, he'd get up. So he was appearing before Gunsman's Walk, and you would see him up on the stage. Hey kids, under 12 meet Sam Toole, the fastest gun in the West, on Gunsman's Walk in front of the Denver Theater at high noon, Tuesday through Friday of this week. See his amazing fast draw exhibition daily. Also enter our fast draw contest because, kids. There's Grandpa with his 6 shooters and his belt. That was all his gear. And I'm going to tell you, until the day that man died, every pair of jeans he had, he rolled up. He was, when you look up the word character in a definition, in a dictionary, Sam Toole is pretty high on the list of what that stood for. These are a couple of his marquees that he would have at the theaters. Let me see if I can read a couple of them. On our stage in person, Sam Toole, known as the Gunslinger. He will thrill you with gun tricks and fast shooting. He is the fastest man on the draw. And again, there's the gun shop on Colfax Avenue. Let's see, you could get 30-06 ammos for $7 for the 100. Colt Frontiers 44 mag for $85. Holy shit, if I had a time machine. 45 automatic ammo, $5 for the 100. And Ruger single 6, $55, brand spanking new. None of that used Ruger. Oh, that photo is upside down. I would give anything to have that matinee signed today. But as a family, we've got a lot of photos and a few other artifacts, but the Old West lives again. Champion gunslinger of the U.S. alive in person. Bring back the good old Western days with the new Colt Frontier for $49. You get it in a 12-inch barrel for $140. Whew. I spent, when he retired from actual gun sales and just did gun parts, I would spend a lot of he never had a gun that didn't get dismantled. So I would spend a lot of my summers with a hacksaw and a 5-pound sledge. And it would absolutely break your heart if you're a gun collector to know how many receivers that I just absolutely destroyed and then dumped into a 5-gallon bucket of anything that would rust them to disintegration. and Mossberg 500 receivers. Now, there's another picture of him on Magic Mountain with the 11 Rifles TV show. And there's him on stage. And these are a lot of the photographs. Mr. Toole enclosed a copy of photographs taken during your recent visit to KLZ Radio and Television. It was a distinct pleasure having you visit the KLZ and be a guest on the Star Yeelan Show and Denver at night. And we hope the enclosed photographs will provide you with a permanent memento of your visit. Sincerely, Al Shepard, Publicity Director. I'm not sure what that one is. Now, Grandpa, take a little break from the... was also a Navy man. And this, I don't even know if I could get this whole damn thing in a shot. This is what's known as a Neptune sheet, which is basically when you're in the Navy, before you cross the equator, you're known as what's called a, I believe, a softback. And then when you cross the equator, I can't remember what it was before you cross the equator, but when you cross the equator, you're a shellback. So, yeah, he crossed the equator. He was a shellback. And he was second class. He was rear gunner's mate on the USS Missouri. And he was very proud of that fact. And touching once again to my super smoking hot grandmother, she wanted a picture of the Missouri's big deck guns going off. Now, let me tell you something about the Missouri's deck guns. You should absolutely look up a photo sometime of the USS Missouri's deck guns going off. And you will watch the water part like Moses in the Red Sea when those things go off. My grandmother wanted a picture of them things. Well, the thing about them guns going off is they cleared the decks. There's nobody on deck when those guns went off. And the reason why is because chances are it would blow you about 1,000 yards out to sea with the concussion of these things going off. But Grandma wanted a photo of it. And Grandpa wasn't somebody who just took no for an answer. So they called, they were doing some firing. You know, this is the Pacific Theater in World War II. And they were shooting at something. And he got up in the crow's nest with a little Kodak. And how he got caught doing that, he got that picture. And they immediately caught him. And you know how they knew? Because his hair had turned pearl white for the next 6 months. Because it blasted all the color out of his hair. And that's the way the story was told to me. And that's the way I repeat it. Well, here's the kick in the balls. All the photos showed when he sent it to Grandma was this big white flash, because that's all you seen was this big flash. And he told me he spent the next week in the brig for that little escapade. But he got that damn photo for Grandma. And somewhere in my mother's massive collection of photos, I know that there is just this photo of nothing but pearl whiteness of them deck guns going off. he was very proud of his Navy service, and there's some of it. He was honorably discharged, did his time, and also did some work after the Navy. But according to the federal government, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Some secrets are not mine to tell. Yet, hopefully, things will come to light and I will be able to tell that story because it is a marvelous tale. And that's him on stage drawing. They always try to catch him doing the draws. And best they could ever get was something like that. And I think this is also a KLZ production shot. You see the Channel 9. That's Grandpa Kilo Henderson. And not sure who that is, whether that's one of the managers or one of the station people. It's probably that would probably be the guy from Channel 9. Just now this was an interesting story. Now this is from I believe Garden City, Kansas. 2 Garden City police officers today issued a challenge to 2 of the world's fastest gunslingers for a title match during the fastest draw contest here on Friday. Chief of Police Mitchell F. Geisler and Patrolman Cleve Spencer of the Garden City Police Force have challenged Sam to a world's fastest gun with a revolver, and Sherman Walker, international champion gunslinger, to put their titles on the line. Under the sponsorship of Continental Airlines, Toole and Walker will conduct a fast draw contest at the Front Street replica as a prelude to the Columbia Broadcasting System, known today as CBS, television network. Return to the Western Stars, return to the Santa Fe Trail. That was another TV show Grandpa was on a little bit. The contest is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. and will continue until the fastest gun in southwest Kansas is determined. And there is I believe a couple pictures of that. Well, he hated that police chief. Hated him. I can't even begin to tell you that apparently, and I don't want to, I don't need to add to my grandfather's hyperbole. The fish was this big. Apparently that guy talks so much shit that he just, and more, listen, if my grandfather was getting to do fast draw, it's the happiest that man would ever be in his life. Aside from the marriage to my grandmother and the birth of his 2 beautiful daughters. Fast draw was his life. Guns was his life. And apparently this chief of police pissed him off so bad that I believe at some point he considered not using blinks. To continue on with the article, 9 stars from television, adult westerns, or apparently this was done on Wyatt Earp Boulevard, and I guess this would have been I guess they held this little show where they filmed smoke. Something about that doesn't sound right, but we'll go with it. There is. There is Grandpa in his older age, and in the background is one of the family's. That is a painting of, I believe, Sitting Bull by Louis Shipshe, and that is one of Grandpa's. And I'll tell you what, that man's hair didn't turn gray until he was 60 years old. I don't know. I damn sure did. I've been gray since 21. There's Henderson shooting. There's Grandpa in the back with a pretty smug look on his face. Now, there is again the Denver Gun Shop. Now, this is that big damn shotgun that hung over the roof on Colfax Avenue, and they put wheels on the back, and they ran it through a couple parades. Now, let's see. No, and apparently, his invitation to the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. Oh, and there's a little something for you. Now, Grandpa, throughout the years, had a lot of artifacts, Native American, and this is not a reprint. This is an actual reward poster for one of the Doolin brothers. And that is out of the Guthrie territory. This is before Oklahoma was even a state. And this is when Guthrie was the capital. Interesting story about everybody knows that Oklahoma City is the capital, but at one time, Guthrie, Oklahoma was the capital of Oklahoma back when it was a territory. And in the middle of the night, they went in and stole, because according to the Oklahoma Constitution or whatever the hell it is, it had to, wherever the state seal is, that's the capital of Oklahoma. So they went in the middle of the night into the Capitol building in Guthrie and stole the seal and took it down to Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City has been the capital ever since. But this, God, I would probably say this is 1820. I don't know. Let me look up. Well, I got to know now. Bill Doolin. Born 1858, and he died August 24th, 1896. And I'm fairly certain that he is one of those that if you look on I'm not going to show it here, but he did not go gently into that dark night. I believe they put enough lead into him to open up a refinery. And there is a picture of that. There is. Oh, so Grandpa was a big fan of, at one time, you could pay $80, and as long as you had $300 in your pocket, they'd fly you to Reno, Nevada for a fun-filled weekend of Miss January 1977 and Miss December 1989. And I'm pretty sure that this was after my grandmother had passed away, because if he tried that shit when she was alive, it oh, and there is his host badge. There's another picture I want to find in an article, and it's in here. Yeah, that's that shit talking police chief. They I believe the story goes, and this is not the only time this has happened. I'm going to get to it in a minute. That chief, after losing just completely and totally, uh, tried to say, "Well, we'll just call it a draw." And Grandpa was like, "The hell we will." Here is $5,600 worth of guns Sam Toole left, and Marion W. Stardivant. This is at Apache Junction. Two of the guns that was shown at the Gun and Coin Show Saturday and Sunday at the Flagstaff National Guard Armory. The gun on the left is a Henry rifle, an Aaron 1870 Henry rifle. One of the first rimfire cartridge guns ever made. The other is a Kentucky military flintlock pistol made in the 1790 with a gold and silver inlaid handle. The rifle shoots 44 caliber slug and is valued at $2,000. Do you know what that gun is worth today? Don't even take a guess. The other pistol shoots a 54 caliber slug and is valued at $36. The show is sponsored by a group of private individuals. No names shall be given. This is another. These are a couple of the other shooters at the I believe that's Kilo Henderson and my grandfather. Not sure who that young lady is, but Grandpa had the riz to get all the shorties. So and I believe this is from 11 Rifles. Again, from the Kilo. I think this is. Oh, this was just, those two guys were just putting on a fast draw show. Oh, God. It's ant season here in Louisiana, and they are driving me up the wall. Well, I want to get a little bit. I still want to. One of the reasons why I'm doing this on April 1st is because today, again, was my grandfather and grandmother's 75th anniversary. And there's an interesting story to tell with that, which is another reason why I mentioned his Navy time. When he's in the Navy, he told me he used to carry around a bunch of fake diamond rings because, every good sailor has a gal in every port. So my grandmother, the Lady Doris, he was in, my mother's going to correct me and I'm going to be in trouble if I get this wrong. He was in Montgomery, Alabama, and my grandmother was working at a Crystals. And as you can see, Grandma was quite the sight. Fine German lady. And my grandfather, the little Navy hustler, tried to pull that here's a diamond ring, will you marry me bullshit story on her. And she grabbed his ass. Now, mind you, this is April Fool's, April 1st. She grabbed his ass and took him to the judge and married him on the spot. And it was a story they told for years. And a year later, my lovely mom was born. And then right after that, my Aunt Debbie was born. And I don't have a picture of her, but they told the story for years. And whether it's true or not, or hyperbole, about how they did that, he came up trying to sell some bullshit about here's a diamond ring and I love you, and she just grabbed him by his ear and drug his little ass straight to the judge, the justice of the peace, or however it was done, and just married him on the spot. And they were married until until the very end for both of them, because even when Grandma passed away before he did, and he never stopped hearing her say, "Sam, turn the TV down," or that little voice of hers in the back of his head that usually kept him from getting in trouble, which is something that he excelled at. Not getting in trouble, but the actual getting in trouble. So that's one reason why I'm sharing all this with everybody today. Um, One, because again, the story of Sam Toole and his gunslinging is really lost media. Nobody really outside the family and a few collectors, really know. And most of the collectors that did know Grandpa are kind of going on. So I want to get his memory back out, and and as with anybody who was from that era, not all memories are without flaws, but those were learning moments for me. And whether he intended it or not, his last words were me to, well, was be a good man. So that well, there you go. I wasn't quite ready for that. It's been yeah, you do what you can. And but the triumphs of his life deserve to be shared. And that's what I like to do. I like thinking about him. I like telling his stories, and they are his stories. They're not mine, and I don't want to be the attention of his stories. Just the share, and and his stories were my grandma's stories because she was right there with them every step of the way. And their favorite thing to do was just go out, do some fishing, or go look for antiques. And they damn sure had a lot of antiques. A little, this is Napoleon. Some little joke. Some skull grandpa got. And, but she kept him in line. And, she kept the rest of us in line. So happy anniversary to both of them. And one of the antiques that they have, this is a Western Union telegraph. And it is quite sad, actually. I don't have a date on this, or if there is. Oh, well, July 28th, but I don't have a year. From D.K. Cunningham, attorney, Kingfisher, Oklahoma. I wrote you and have received no answer. Signed, Quanah Parker. I really need to get this in an acid free. And if you don't know who Quanah Parker is, then you should look that up. This is a picture of Grandpa. This is the KLZ from CBS Radio. And there's Grandpa with one of his Colts. That would be a long barrel, so that's probably one of his show Colts. And there's scores on the board, so I'm willing to bet that smug look is not on Grandpa's face in this photo. So this is probably about the time where discussions were being had as to now this is an interesting story. Now here is I do have a picture of there is my grandmother Doris, my mom Carol, and my Aunt Debbie. And this is inside the gun shop in Denver. And you can see there's a reason he was known as Sam the Parts Man. And they also did antique shows. Now I want you to pay attention to this sign that says, "This is not a museum. This junk is for sale." Now they used to set up, now this one was junk to some, treasures to others. More than 1,200 people Saturday searched through the hundreds of items the first day of the Show and Sell Antique Show. And that would be at the Century 2 Exhibition Hall. And that would be in Wichita. So, but that sign that says this is not a museum, this junk is for sale, pissed off the promoters of that show so bad that they kicked my grandfather out. That made him so mad that was the picture that showed up discussing their show. When gunslingers were heroes. That's the thing. Let me tell you something about this right here. Now, it looks like this guy's acting out that he got a gut wound, but in all actuality, what probably happened was Grandpa told him to hold his hands about a foot apart in front of his stomach, and then he probably shoved that pistol deep enough in his belly button that he probably come unglued. And I know this because that's what he used to do to me. Just a great shot. Somewhere we've got the actual photo of that. And there is a picture. Oh, I gotta. Every year, Colt would send my grandfather a presentation set of Colt sequential serial number 45 caliber peacemakers. And this is his original set and his original leather that he drew with. And this gives you shot by shot of his fast draw. And that was right there. And this says Lakewood. So this is going to be a promo photo for his TV show 11 Rifles. And this would be the Channel 9. This would be Kilo Henderson and Sam Toole, my grandfather. One of the promo shots from and everybody knows these because that's James Arness and I believe Slim Pickens from Gunsmoke. And that's probably from the episode my grandfather was on where he saved Marshall Dillon from 3 bad guys. And I wish I could tell you what episode that was because I have been hunting for it for years. And what's sad is my grandfather told me the name of this episode, and I can't for the life of me remember it. And there is. And that's upside down. That doesn't do nobody no good. Probably because I was digging through all this shit yesterday. So that is a picture of grandfather with one of the Colt presentation sets that he would receive every year. And they match the ones in the holster. And that's all he drew with. And he never fired live rounds. I believe that we still have this set as a family. And Hartford apparently also sent him some. And there's the picture of Now, this is a copy. We returned the original. Grandpa carried around for years some original pictures of the Oklahoma land run. And get me started on that mess. There is Bank of Indian Territory, Guthrie, Oklahoma, and this is a check for $133 out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. And that would it says county treasurer, so this might be a territorial check from the actual acting government at the time. One of my favorite pictures of my grandfather right there. You just can't get no better than that. And there's just something about that old silver photography that you just can't beat. Now, here's another photo of much conjecture in my grandfather. You can see this is I'll just read the article to you. It was high noon in Cheyenne. The two were both soft-spoken Southerners. The taller, younger man wore the garb of an airman from the United States Air Force, while the shorter, heavier of the two, always fat shaming my grandpa, dressed in Western pants and a short sports short. I can't talk for shit. They both wore their gun belts low and had the air of professional gunslingers. Cheyenne was to be the scene of the duel. And what this is there was a local airman named Andy Anderson, and he challenged my grandfather. And this is a picture of the actual contest. As you can see, he didn't win, but they labeled it a draw. And I believe my grandfather's exact words were, "It weren't no fucking draw." This was Guns Magazine talking about the Kilo Henderson. You know, just hand a pistol to the kids. That's all good. Now we have the original photo of this, but this is a copy, and this was Grandpa, and after he saved Marshall Dillon, he looks like he just got his butt saved. Again, if you ever see this face in this outfit on an episode of Gunsmoke, let me know. And I think we're getting pretty close to the end. This was a little bit longer than I kind of wanted to go on. I was shooting. I figured an hour to get through it. Again, he'd reprint these, hand them out all over the place, sign them for you. There's thousands of these floating out there. And my second favorite photo, Grandpa, because he didn't take no shit. But this isn't all about my grandpa. This is, Grandma and Grandpa's 75th anniversary. So this was my tribute to them. And I want to thank you all for letting me share a little bit of their lives with you. I would like to tell you, more stories about my grandma Doris, but her full-time job was keeping Grandpa Sam in check and making some of the best granola bars you ever had in your life. So that's and keeping us grandkids in check, dear gods. But one story I can tell you about my grandmother that is super, super important to me. The first miniature gaming set that I ever got was a TSR Indiana Jones lead. Now, this wasn't lead and pewter days, lead figurine set. And she set me at her desk with some paintbrushes, and I did the worst painting job you've ever seen a 12-year-old do. But she also taught me calligraphy, and which was a passion of hers that I wish that I was better at. But she knew me as an artist and helped push that for me. And it's one thing other than just she was just an amazing woman, and who weren't afraid to kill a man in Minecraft. Um, they were both they always loved the grandkids, and they always were somebody who, it didn't always go the way you wanted it to go, but they definitely helped me in a lot of things that I do today. So that's it. That's what I got for everybody. I am I don't know that I'll do a regular show this week. I am going to be on tonight, but today was just about Grandma and Grandpa's April Fool's 74th anniversary. So if I get some more pictures and stuff, like I said, my mother has crates. I might do another one of these next year and share some more stuff. But sharing Grandpa's scrapbook is, whew, that's a beefy boy. And sharing some of his memories was just something I really needed to get done. And I guess that's about it for the day. So thank y'all for joining me, and keep on the lookout. There's all kinds of things out there that Sam Toole left, and they're worth finding. And if you find one of them, feel free to give me a call or message me, and I'd be glad to tell you what you got and tell you a couple stories that I can't tell on the air, because believe me, for the hour and 20 minutes that I have talked to you today, if I had a week live nonstop on air, I couldn't tell you all the stories that man's told me and things that he did in his life and things that I'm federally obligated not to tell you. So y'all have a great evening, and y'all come back.